Before we get into the video, I want to talk to you guys about the OneFootball app, because for me, it's the best football app there is on the planet. It's great for player statistics, team news, transfer news, and league tables. On top of that, if you are an app user in the UK or in Ireland, you get match highlights for La Liga, Liga Portugal, and DFB Pokal. On top of that, you get full coverage of the Indian Super League and also Serie A, which means Indian Super League match coverage and highlights, and also Serie A highlights, and also once a week, you get a game which you can watch on the app literally for free from the Serie A. This week it is Atalanta versus Sassuolo, and if you watch my Scouting for United series, you'll know that there's a player I've got an eye on in that game. If you want to watch it, make sure to use the link in the description down below. Like I said, you get loads of great stuff and it is all free. Use the link in the description down below to download the OneFootball app. Hey guys, welcome back to the AJ Analysis channel and welcome back to the Scouting for United series in what I believe is the 4th episode of the series, where today we are talking about Portuguese goalkeeper Diogo Costa. He's 23 years old, currently plays for Porto and also regularly starts for the Portuguese national team. And he is a player that United have been heavily linked with. So I thought today we would go over some of his principles as a player, and I want to do this video slightly differently to how I've done some of the other ones already in the series, because I think it is slightly different when looking at a goalkeeper. So when looking at a goalkeeper, I want to try and break this down into 4 kind of key aspects of goalkeeping, especially modern day goalkeepers, and I'll do the same for any other goalkeeper that we look at in this series. So the first thing is shot stopping. We've then got sweeping actions, kind of sweeping up behind the defence. We've then got dealing with and claiming crosses, and then their distribution on the ball as well. So those are the 4 topics we are going to cover today, and look at how Costa kind of ranks and compares to other goalkeepers in those areas, and what he would bring to United. But before that, I have a challenge for you guys. I need you guys to subscribe to the channel, because we are racing towards 10k, but I desperately want to reach it before the World Cup. So, if this button below the video is red, please press it. Please press it. It would be a massive favour. I'll give you 5 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I hope you're subscribed. Anyway, into the video. And first thing I want to talk about is shot stopping, because probably the most important thing when it comes to a goalkeeper, or if not the most important, then probably the most spoken about, is what we all talk about. A goalkeeper is there to stop the ball going into the net, and one way of doing that is by saving shots. And Diogo Costa is a very good shot stopper. Now, in terms of looking at numbers and things like that, it isn't always the easiest position to look at, because yes, I've saved a shot, but it might have come from distance outside the box, things like that. It might be an easy save. Also, Porto regularly dominate a lot of games in Portugal, so we're not necessarily seeing him having to do too many saves in a game. But these are a couple of his recent games, one in the league and one in the Champions League, particularly against Leverkusen. 4 saves from inside the box, 6 saves in total, and one of them being a penalty save. And then also in this other game, 2 saves, both from within the box. We can see that he is a good shot stopper. Unfortunately, I haven't really got the metrics or the numbers to back it up too much, simply because I don't know the website to find it. If you guys know a good website for goalkeeper stats, please let me know. But on this one, you just kind of have to take my word on it a little bit. He is a very good shot stopper, and in particular, I like what he does in terms of saving the ball with his feet, quite similar to David De Gea. He doesn't always feel the need to get down and use his hands to save it. He is happy to throw a leg out, get that extra reach to turn the ball around. He's also good in terms of his reflexes, his reactions. He's also very good at saving a shot and then getting up and making a double save. He's a good shot stopper. You just kind of got to trust me on that one. I think he is a very good shot stopper, and in that aspect, I think he would be good enough for Manchester United. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is sweeping, and this is something that we can look at the numbers a bit more, and also talk about how it works for Manchester United if he was to sign. So, the real reason that sweeping is such an important part of the modern goalkeeper's game is because these days teams like to press really high up the pitch, play a really high line, which leaves a lot of space in behind the defence, which means there's a lot of space that the goalkeeper needs to cover. Now, at the moment, David De Gea doesn't really do that. And what that means is that Manchester United at times have to play quite a deep defensive line. They can't press quite as high up the pitch as what they would like to. They have to play quite deep because De Gea doesn't really want to cover the ground behind them. So that is an issue, and it does affect Manchester United in general as a knock-on effect. A lot of United's play is affected by the fact that one, De Gea isn't comfortable playing out from the back, but we'll come on to that. But in terms of off the ball, they can't press as high up the pitch as what Ten Hag wants them to, as high as he has in the past, because De Gea isn't too comfortable coming off his line. I am just going to quickly interrupt because we do have another sponsor for today's video, and that is jerseyfifa.com. The website you need to head to right away to get yourself the latest and greatest football shirts, all at an extremely affordable price.
The link will be in the description below, so head there right away to get yourself a great shirt, again at a great price. Now back to the video.
Costa doesn't have the same issue. And in terms of percentile ranking, ranked with some of the best goalkeepers in all of Europe, he is very good. He is very, very keen to come off his line. He is one of the best goalkeepers in the world, particularly in Europe, when it comes to sweeping up behind his defence. His numbers are right up there with Alisson, slightly ahead of the likes of Ederson and Neuer, and we can see that he's in the 96th percentile for the average distance of defensive actions, and in the 92nd percentile for defensive actions outside his penalty area. This is a goalkeeper that wants to sweep up behind his defence. So if he was brought into this Manchester United team, he is going to be more than willing to play slightly higher, which then as a result means the rest of the team can play higher. Particularly with the pace of Lisandro Martinez and Varane in the defence, it means United can suddenly squeeze a lot higher up the pitch, which also means the forwards can press more, which means it's harder for the opposition to play forward. It's win-win. United should have more of the ball because they're able to press higher and win the ball back quickly, but also if the opposition do get through the press or play the ball long, Costa is always happy to sweep up behind his defence. The amount of times, if you watch Porto, you'll see a ball hooked over the top, the defender races towards it, the opposition striker comes in, races towards it, Costa just comes out, deals with it, boots it out for a throw, or boots it up the pitch. It just relieves the pressure off of the defence so much, and I think that is something which United need. That ability to relieve pressure off these defenders. Costa, he would bring that, without doubt he would bring that. Moving forward, next up, dealing with crosses, the third of the four things that I want to look at. And this is the first area where I will say I think Costa needs improvement. Now, again, this is an area that David De Gea at Manchester United struggles with quite a lot. Now, I am just off the back of doing a video of Manchester United versus Everton, a video in which I said that De Gea played quite well. However, what I did say was that in the last 10 minutes or so, there were situations where he doesn't come out and claim the cross. We know that has always been a thing. Does Costa fully address that issue? Not quite. He's good at it, but I would say there's a lot of room for improvement, and I think he can really go up a level in terms of his ability to deal with crosses into the box. Particularly if he is going to come into the Premier League. The Premier League, keepers can take a bit of time to adjust to this. We saw it for David De Gea when he first joined Manchester United. He was even worse than what he is now. Costa could go through something similar, especially when, even in Portugal, in the Champions League, he isn't the greatest. In terms of crosses faced, 28th percentile, but crosses stopped, the 64th percentile, and percentage-wise, the 72nd percentile. So he's not bad. It's not like it's a real weakness and teams are going to pump crosses into the box, but I think it's an area that could do with a bit of improvement. Especially if we think that Lisandro Martinez is in the team. Teams are sometimes going to look to put crosses in towards the back stick to try and attack that. Like this, Costa does need to improve his ability to come off the line and deal with that, just to help, again, take pressure off the centre-backs. So that would be my one question mark over it as a signing. But even still, I think he is good enough at it. Like, whilst I'm saying he's not the best in the world at it, he is still very decent, and he is still an upgrade on David De Gea, and only just having turned 23 years old, he has plenty of time to improve on that. He may not hit his prime for another 7 years. That's the great thing about goalkeepers. So much longevity. So for him to be hitting these heights already at 23 years old is a very good sign. And speaking of hitting heights, where he really comes in strong as one of the best goalkeepers in the world is his distribution. We know how Ten Hag wants to play, but he wants his team to build possession from the back, dominate football matches. Costa is going to contribute to that. Now again, if we go back to Manchester United currently, at times the team don't look keen on playing the ball out from the back, so they push the team high and just play long and try and deal from there. If Costa was to come into a team, that wouldn't be the case. If Costa was to come into the team, I think we would see Manchester United trying to play their way out from the back on a much more frequent basis. For several different reasons. One is he's happy to take the ball under pressure. He doesn't get too, too panicked by it. If a player is putting him under pressure, he takes his time on the ball, he is composed, he's happy to turn away from a man, little Cruyff turns, things like that. He's good with his short passing, he's good with his medium range passing, and his long passing. He's also quite quick with his distribution to quickly set off counter-attacks, which is important when you've got players like Rashford in the team. And also, he is happy to play long. So if United were to find themselves in a position where they are pressed too well by the opposition, Costa is happy to go long. He isn't going to play out for the sake of it. He will send the ball into longer areas. Something that Ederson actually does quite well for Manchester City, particularly when they play Liverpool. And it's backed up when we look at the numbers. In terms of his FB report, the 96th percentile for passes completed which are launched, the 92nd for passes attempted which are launched, which again is showing that he is happy to go a bit longer with it. Pass completion percentage launched very high again. Passes attempted the 96th percentile, showing that he is very, very involved in the way that Porto play out from the back, whether that be long or short. Throws attempted, launch percentage, and average pass length, he all ranks pretty well. He is a very, very good goalkeeper with the ball. Whether it's in his hands or his feet, he is very good with his distribution, and like I was saying, this is so important to Manchester United and to Ten Hag. Under a different manager, it might be slightly different. We know that at Ajax and previous clubs, Ten Hag wants to play the ball out from the back. We know that is the case. We saw it in United's first 2 games of the season. It is so clear that's how he wants to play. However, for certain reasons, he hasn't been able to. Some of that is the personnel at the back. Partly in the defence, but also in goal with David De Gea. Bringing Costa in would change that so much for Manchester United. They would be able to build the ball out from the back, which in turn means you have more possession. If you have more possession, like it sounds really simple, if you have the ball more, it's harder for the opposition to score. That's how Pep Guardiola has always spoken about football, that if his side have the ball, the opposition can't score. Now, I'm not talking about possession for the sake of it, but Costa would drastically improve Manchester United's ability to play the ball out from the back, which in turn means they have more possession, more control, and hopefully more territory if they get the right signings further up the pitch. I really do think that Costa overall looks like a good fit. And this is the goalkeeper that I would be going for. Now, in other videos we've talked about things like attitude, price. We're not going to cover that so much because it's a goalkeeper. I'll do something a little bit different. Although on the price, I believe his release clause is around £50 million, which I don't think is a bad fee for this goalkeeper at all. I think he's worth it. If you can get him a bit cheaper, negotiate a fee, brilliant work. If you have to pay the release clause, so be it. I really do think it's worth it. In terms of his attitude, I kind of looked around. I couldn't find too much on things like his attitude in training or quotes from managers or anything like that. But the one thing that I would just say is at 23 years old, he's actually come under quite a lot of pressure. Now, goalkeeper is one of the most scrutinised positions in the world because you make a mistake, it leads to a goal most of the time. So I think at 23 years old, to be Portugal's #1 goalkeeper now, and he will be at the World Cup, so that will actually be a really good time to watch him and scout him a bit more. But also, playing for Porto. Porto are expected to win pretty much every game. They're expected to win the league. He has done that. He has handled that pressure. And as a result, he does have experience of winning trophies. He has won league titles with Porto, cups, things like that. So in that aspect, although I couldn't find quotes on it, I think from the outside looking in, there's some good signs. It's something to maybe watch out for at the World Cup. Maybe watch out for certain mannerisms, his communication in games. I'm looking forward to it. But overall, he's a very good goalkeeper. And I highly recommend you watch Porto. To watch this guy. They play Benfica this week, which is a huge game. Some great players on display in that game. But I think he just ticks a lot of the boxes in terms of shot stopping. Very good shot stopper and something he can improve on further because of his age. In terms of sweeping, probably the top 5 in Europe. He really is good at it, and that really is something United need. In terms of crosses, I think we can see room for work. I think he can improve in this area, but I think he would. He's young enough. I think he would improve. And then, in terms of his distribution, he is very, very good with the ball, and I think that is maybe the most important thing. And for that reason, overall, I haven't actually got it on screen, but I'm going to give him an A rating, and I believe that's the first player we've done it for in this series. He is a wonderful, wonderful goalkeeper, and at the moment, I can't really see a reason why you wouldn't sign him. He looks wonderful. Now, I will talk about other goalkeepers throughout the series. Right now, this is the guy that I would be signing. We might come up with someone else later on in the season. Right now, Diogo Costa of Portugal, 23 years old, plenty of room to grow and develop, but already, right now, a top goalkeeper. Make sure to keep an eye out for him. But yeah, that's my thoughts on him. If you have any thoughts, if you've watched him, if you've seen other scout reports on him, things like that, let me know what you think in the comments down below. Is this someone you want to see come into the club? Do you agree with my quite high rating of him? Giving him an A, like I said, this is the first player that's got an A. Do you agree with that? Let me know all your thoughts in the comments down below, and also let me know what other players you'd like me to cover. And also, while you're here, subscribe to the channel. Really do appreciate it. But there, that's that. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you have enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next one.